Hey everyone, it is Jay Soloff from Investors Alley, and this is our options trade of the week. So today we had a huge, roughly 3% rally in the market, and I am looking here in Market Chameleon at the unusual options activity to see what happened in the options market with the big rally in the stock market. And what you can see here, sorting by quantity, there is certainly a lot of action in general, but what's really interesting is that we're seeing a ton of action in the stocks that were most hurt for the most part by the pandemic and the crash in March. The airlines, financials, Ford. So it really interesting here. We're seeing GE, which was way down, and of course Boeing has had lots of problems. American Airlines, XLF, the financial sector, Wells Fargo. So Delta, Carnival, the cruise lines. I mean, we're seeing here a who's who of companies that really got hurt mostly in March and from the pandemic. So interesting to see. Most of this activity appears to be bullish. Looking here at GE, which is one I've been tracking, it is up to close to 8. After being down close to something like 5 earlier, not that long ago. It was about 850 at one point today before selling off. Looks like a lot of the action is bullish. So if we take a look at that, and we'll go to the trades and sort them by quantity to see some of the interesting trades may have been. And you can see here possibly rolling some calls to some different months, looks like maybe closing some puts now that the stock is back up. Here's an interesting one, January of 2022. So looks like buying calls here for $1.45, buying the 10 calls. So what's interesting about that is that there were people saying that, oh, GE might need to declare bankruptcy or whatever. Well, not only is that not appear to be the case, but it looks like people are actually even buying long term, right? And not that, not that 1,000 calls suggests, suggests for sure the company's not going to go bankrupt, but still $150,000 roughly to throw down on something is not, a tiny sum. So clearly there are some bullish investors for the long term, and actually this is a good way to use calls because you're not going to have a lot of time decay, and you're only spending $1.46 for about a year and a half with leveraged options that are not that far out of the money, right? So this was done, they were only $2 out of the money. So an interesting way to take a long position on GE. Looking at that, and here's what I was talking about. It got as low as about 5.5, got as high as about 8.5 just a few weeks later, closed around 8. Looking at so the calls were bought here at 10, right? But even this year was as high as 13, and those calls, again, with a year and a half to expiration, you'd only need to go to about 11.5 to make money. Even just going to the high from this year would be a huge winner for those calls with a year and a half to go. So an interesting way to make a trade. If you are bullish on GE, using long-term calls may be a decent replacement for buying the stock itself. And this sort of thing I talk about in my Coffee and Condors. It's kind of a bi-weekly chat that we do. Check it out at coffeeandcondors.com if you're interested.